Hello, hello. I'm Strider, your host here at Author in the Headlights. And I want to thank you for joining us on this, well, what's a really rainy day here where we are in the Pacific Northwest. And we've got with us Tessa Floreano. Good morning, Tessa.
Good morning, Strider. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm just fine and happy, and I'm glad that you're with us and spending part of your day here.
Me too.
And now you, Floriano, come on, Italian. Are you Italian, American, Canadian? What exactly does that do?
Well, my husband would call me a pseudo-American, but I am a dual Italian Canadian citizen. So I was born in Canada. My parents were Italian citizens until I turned 17, and then they became Canadian citizens. And Italy at the time allowed one other citizenship. So I have Italian Canadian, but I don't have American. I did grow up in Canada, did spend a lot of time in Italy, and have been in the United States for the last 25 years here in the Puget Sound.
See, now there you go. You've seen and been a lot of places, and you do jump back and forth across the water once in a while. Okay, now you write as an Italian. Mostly everything you connect with is Italian in your writing that I know of. You've got Italians in the Pacific Northwest, which is an interesting view of that. Slain and Spumoni, and that's just an ebook at the moment.
That's correct.
And is it your newest Murder and Matrimony at the
That's
Castello?
right. Just had the
Aha!
big launch party on Saturday. So I have,
Congratulations,
yeah,
brand spanking new. All right. And that, of course, you are an author, not just a writer, which there's nothing wrong with either one of them. But one just means you've taken your manuscript and actually published it, which is important for those of you that are new writers, notice that, that may
did.
not have all these terms down that happen because Author in the Headlights is for readers and writers. And a lot of new writers connected in here because we do pass on that good information of kind of what it takes to get there, how to go about it, all those little tricks of the trade. Now, you're also part of a lot of writers groups. In fact, I bumped into you at one. How did you find those help you as a writer?
I would say, most of it is networking. You never know where an opportunity to partner with another writer will, show up. And just just for motivation, just to having other writers around that you can kind of share the ups and downs of the whole writing and publishing journey. It's important to have that support group. I've been with my current critique group for, gosh, 7, 8 years now. I've tried a few others, and that's an important thing I wanted to get across if there are sort of new writers listening to this. If the first critique group or feedback group, whatever support group that you meet up with isn't the right fit, it's okay to leave and find another one that suits you. You hope that you are with a particular group for a long time and get to know each other and get to know each other's work really well so that you get the kind of feedback that you need. And my current group has just been so supportive. I wouldn't be where I am today. And I met them initially by taking classes through the Pacific Northwest Writers Association at the Cottage in Issaquah. You learn different things from different groups. So for instance, if you're just starting out, maybe a more generic group like the Pacific Northwest Writers Association, all sorts of writers and authors belong to that. And they write in all sorts of genres, including nonfiction, screenwriters, playwrights, etc. But sometimes if you're writing, you find yourself writing in a more specific genre consistently, maybe it's best to join groups that are specific to that genre. So for instance, the Historical Novel Society I've been part of for many, many years, the Sisters in Crime, because I write mystery, and also the Mystery Writers of America. We have chapters of both Sisters in Crime and Mystery Writers of America here in the Puget Sound. And so connecting with those so if you have specific genre questions or issues you want to discuss or just having support in those genres, it's important maybe to find specific genre groups that you can
Mhm.
relate to.
Yeah, I am a member of PNWA and go to their conferences, which I find great help and support, as well as meeting other authors. And I find that for me, as you've got to admit, writing is a very singular thing. You sit at your desk, and you get tucked in a corner and
Right,
you
your
can write
focus.
books without ever meeting a person. but it's not the same as actually going out and meeting other authors and talking to them and listening to their stories. And I find, at least, that it helps spark my writing, where I can get back and go, gosh, I kind of put this away for a couple weeks. I got to get back in there and write. And it does intensify the experience. I enjoy going out and meeting other people. And you need to be a student of your business. You really do. So that's a place where you can learn. Yeah, you can learn online, read through whatever, but it's not the same as going and talking with someone or listening to a speech or a class that actually teaches you the skill of writing better. Anybody can write. I was a general contractor at one point. We found out that anybody can swing a hammer, but not everybody can build a house, because you have to know what you're doing. Hitting a nail is not building a house. And you're lucky if you can drive a nail without bending it. It takes skill, it takes time, it takes work, it takes effort, it takes practice. Same with writing. Your first book will probably not be your best book. It's going to take several to get you there. And that's skill and training. And those associations with groups and people, organizations, help you do that.
I write about Italians. I write about Italians' history, both real and imagined. And I set my books in the Pacific Northwest, in Europe, points in between, but it's always about Italians. When I first immigrated to the United States, most of the books that were about Italian stories were written from an Italian-American viewpoint that had Italians from a Southern Italian background. Well, I'm from the North. My family goes back to the same town about an hour north of Venice to 1640. So we have very deep roots in the North. And so I grew up with stories from, Italians or Canadian Italians from Northern Italy. So coming to the United States was a bit of a shock, applied to Italians from Southern Italian heritage. But the stories are slightly different. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to write about Northern Italians, so that, people here in the United States and elsewhere could learn
It's
more of
true.
those Northern Italian stories.
That's true. It's different, just like different parts of America are
That's
different.
right.
The
That's right.
South is not the same as the Pacific
Nope.
Northwest or the East or Coast or the Mid.
No.
Every section has its uniqueness. And that's
Right.
part of this skill when you write, is creating that world building. Let the audience, your readers, feel what you're trying to say, because you see it in your mind when you're writing it, and how to get that across on paper so that somebody else can pick up that exact picture that you have. That makes a good writer. When you as a reader are no longer seeing words, you're merely seeing the story flow as your eyes take in the story. It's amazing. It is amazing what the brain can do.
In fact, I'm working on a historical mystery series set in Portland in the interwar period, 1930s. And the first, I've written one and a half in a 9-part series, 1.5 manuscripts. The first book, the protagonist goes after the mob. The second book, they come after her. She's a journalist in the series, and she realizes by the end of the second book that she wants nothing to do with any of that, exposing them or what have you. So she leaves them alone. They'll leave her alone, and her goal is to become a sought after reporter. Right now, when the story opens, she's a copy boy. They still call them copy boys, even though she was female.
Mhm.
And she, wants to have a page one story. She wants to be a regular columnist. And she initially thinks that writing about the mob, sort of some aspects of which she knows about, would get her that job. And she realizes, I don't want to be doing that kind of work. I'm a social justice warrior, but I don't have to go into that aspect of it, just because it's my
Yeah.
people, part of my heritage.
So that's what you're doing now. Is you writing this set?
Correct. I'm in the first part of the new year. I'll be editing the first book. It's already had a couple edit passes, but I want to do sort of one final deeper sweep through. So hopefully it'll be out by the end of the year. That's if I self-publish it, or if I've had different agents willing to represent
Mhm.
me, but that could take a few years to see that book out there. So
It does. It
with
does.
this last book, The Murder of Matrimony Castello, I went away from traditional publishing and published it myself. I did have a contract for it, but the publisher and I had a miscommunication about contract deadlines and that sort of thing. And so I said, well, I need to publish this. I've been talking to my readers about it in my newsletters for a year. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So it's a plunge. I mean, I know you independently publish as well, and we talked earlier before we started recording
It
about the
is.
challenges in publishing and the learning curves. And so sometimes you just, feet in the fire and you figure it out. And I hope I have with this book. And so I may publish, that series on my own as well. We'll just see. But that's the next book that I'm going to be focusing on, is the beginning of that series. I want to get that going.
Yeah, I did choose to publish independently. And my reason was, look, I'm over 70 already. Okay. And it takes, time to write the book, then at times editing the book, and then to go to, you put it out there for an agent to look at, and they take their time and, 6 months, 8 months, nine, a year, whatever. And then maybe you actually get publisher. They say, we got somebody for you. Great. And then you go through another year and you're 2 years or more down the line. And I go, gosh, I need to write. I need to just get this out.
And you want to have
uh,
more control, don't you?
yes, you do. And probably so much more control that you need a lot more edits than you would because it's up to you. It is
Right.
totally up to you. You don't have somebody looking over your shoulder saying, okay, this needs to be edited here. This needs to be done. Let's clean this up. And, the stories of having a publisher, those great Hallmark stories are, they come and they take care of you and let's do this. And we got that made. Yeah, maybe.
For a select
I'm
few.
sure some places, very few. Yeah, exactly. And for the rest of us, we slog our way through it.
Good
But,
luck. Yeah.
we have fun or we wouldn't be doing it. We enjoy
Right.
it. Okay, well, we've got your books, durhampublishing.com, their bookstore
You.
page, so people can find them there. They can link into your website, which is
Floreano.com.
tessafloreano.com. All right, they can find you there. And of course, here at Author in the Headlights, which is sponsored by Durham Publishing. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And happy holidays to you, Strider. It was nice chatting with you today.
You too. Thank you.